today, on this beautiful, glorious day, we have at our right clown makeup. We have, again, at our right, a wig. We also have on our right a clown hat. Well, not a clown hat, a lampooning hat. We have everything ready for the episode 7 react. He left, knowing me, we will never leave. I will promise you this. I will never leave you guys on a flabbergasted reveal as a cliffhanger. I would never, mark my words, I would never do that. What chapter did he read? No, I'm kidding, don't tell me. Point is, today we're reading chapter 1042. The goal, we don't have that much time, I'm not gonna lie. We have about like an hour and a half before the missus is here. And so this is gonna be a short video live stream because we're gonna be putting on some clown makeup today. It should be good. Knock on wood. Everything works out. If everything this is either my test day wearing makeup, and if it's good, we do the react tonight, so I have it ready for tomorrow on Friday right away. If it doesn't, we come back tomorrow with better clown makeup on after like our practice run. But the goal is to knock it out first try. But long story short, chapter 1042, plan from a different angle. All right, let's just get straight into it. So if you like what you are going to see, make sure you like, comment, subscribe, and blah, 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 blah. Whatever else I keep forgetting to say. Let's get to reading, dude. Chapter 1000. Sure, buddy. Chapter 1042, plan from a different angle. After a few seconds, Sharon calmly replied to Klein, "It's not bait, but a ploy to lure them out." Just as Klein was about to ask what the difference was, Merrick explained in detail, back when we were pursued by the Rose School of Thought, we discovered that they had quite a number of members in Backland. However, due to our lack of strength and our fear of traps, as well as not to attract the attention of the church, we didn't take any actions against them. This time, we plan on attacking one of the more important ones. We'll deliberately miss some out, allowing the hidden ones to secretly escape and pass the information to the Rose School of Thought person in charge of Backland. And secret, the Sanguine demigod will be watching them. Through the message chain, they will find a person in charge. That person must be a key member of the Rose School of Thought. Once he's killed or even captured, we'll take the next steps in our operation based on the information we managed to obtain. That's more reasonable. The main point is to use one's understanding of the Rose School of Thought to create a plan instead of using yourself as bait. That's a way to effectively control the situation and not destroy Backland. Klein nodded gently and said, "If that's the case, I can participate." He didn't say that he needed to think about it or return to confirm the level of danger. This was because this matter wasn't something they needed to be done anytime soon for Sharon and the Sanguine. When he divined problems, he could always call it off as a participant. "What kind of payment do you need?" Merrick's standing posture relaxed as he asked. Klein smiled. "If there aren't any accidents this entire time, I wish to receive one instance of free assistance from Brunette Tanker. If I have to involve myself in the operation, I can always add a condition of having priority of the spoils of war." I think that's a good compromise. "You can discuss this with Brunette Tanker before writing to tell me the answer." In fact, he was still a little puzzled. He believed that with such a plan, there was no need to seek him out. Sure, buddy. With Miss Messenger hiding in the shadows, it was enough to prevent any accidents that Sherlock Moriarty could deal with. There's no need. Sharon, with her quite exquisite look and pale face, she looked. Oh, now she's like, I got this. She's like, I got this. No, there's no need. There's no need. Sharon, with her exquisite looks and pale face, she shook her head gently like a doll. "I can agree to it now." Has she already discussed with Miss Messenger? Klein thought for a few seconds and honestly asked, "Then why don't you directly ask Miss Renette?" Klein negotiating the help of an angel. And Sharon's like, don't worry about it. For help to prevent any accidents from happening, Sharon's hair remained motionless as though bound tightly by the petite bonnet. She replied in a teary and fleeting voice, "She doesn't wish for the Sanguine to discover her existence." "Is that so?" Klein deliberated for a moment and raised another question. "You're advocate temperance, so why are you seeking out the key members of the Rose School of Thought? Is revenge not within the limits of temperance?" Sharon looked at him with her blue eyes and said, "In recent decades, the Rose School of Thought has been trying its best to let the Mother Tree of Desire descend into her world." That's not good. "This will bring about an unimaginable disaster. In addition, Teacher also desires her body to be complete. If the Mother Tree of Desire were to descend into the real world, it would be an unimaginable disaster for me. However, what has this got to do with the completeness of Miss Messenger's body? Her body was once torn apart and is being held by different key members of the Rose School of Thought." Wow, this kind of reminds me of a certain thing in Chainsaw Man, if you guys know what I'm talking about. "Or can the body's high sequence be honors of the same sequence and her characteristics be made into a part of her?" What? A part of her through some ritual, Klein mumbled internally as probed, is Abomination Sequence 1 of the Mutant Pathway. Oh, wait, I didn't think about that. Abomination Sequence 1 of the Mutant Pathway. Then what are Sequence 2 and Sequence 3? He asked Miss Sharon the first question before, but he only received a vague answer. Sharon answered without any hesitation. She didn't speak too fast, but her voice remained ethereal and inhuman. I wasn't too sure about it in the past. Now I confirm that Sequence 1 is Abomination, Sequence 2 is Ancient Bane, and Sequence 3 is Cursed Artifact, but is now a Disciple of Silence. Oh, that sounds good, dude. Ooh. Disciple of Silence? Oh, that sounds kind of hype. Does that mean that you weren't certain when I asked you the last time? That is to say, when you summoned Miss Messenger and reunited with her, you managed to learn more secrets. Klein nodded in enlightenment. I have no more questions. After confirming the time for the operation, write to me. Thank you. Sharon once again floated up and bowed. Merrick pressed his hand to his chest and slightly bent his back. There's no need. Klein stood up from the high stool and wore his top hat with a smile. This time without a smacking sound, scarlet flames and rose and engulfed him under the night sky. Countless lights silently lit up in background as though they were stars that were covered in clouds descending upon the land. With a few stars twinkling, Klein returned to the rental apartment and the periphery of the East Borough. After changing his clothes and preparing to return to Northborough, Buckland Street, he heard a series of illusionary pleas. It was from a man. After nodding a thought, Klein immediately took 4 steps counterclockwise and arrived above the gray fog. He extended his spirituality towards the constantly expanding and shrinking crimson star. As he expected, this corresponds to the moon Emlyn. Okay, what else you got? The vampire who was already become a Viscount prayed sincerely, Honorable Mr. Full, I wish to apply for a mini gathering that includes me, Mr. Hangman, Matt Hermit, Miss Justice, and Mr. World. To Emlyn, these part of the Terror Club representatives in intelligence, experience, and knowledge. Poor Leonard Klein. Yeah, we don't need the star. Poor Leonard Klein chuckled silently as he leaned back in his chair and agreed to Emlyn's request. Above the gray-white fog inside the ancient palace, 5 dark beams of light appeared on both sides of the long bronze table, forming different figures. Mr. Moon, has the Sanguine plan been finalized? New sequence reveal? I know, this is hype, dude. Oh, it's crazy. We're so close to the ending, man. And then as we get closer, we're starting to get like all the high sequence 1 reveals, sequence 2, 3. Oh, man, this is hype, dude. Mr. Moon, has the Sanguine's plan finally been finalized? Audrey greeted everyone before asking with interest. Emlyn surveyed the area and frankly said, yes, the detailed plan is this. Throw 2 Temperance faction members who escaped from the Rose School of Thought. He recounted the plan that Sharon had described to Sherlock Moriarty from a different angle to the world Gurman Sparrow and Company. When he was done, he said, if we can obtain the effective information, we Sanguine plan on seizing the opportunity to launch a surprise attack on the Rose School of Thought headquarters. We hope to take an important item from them. What important item? Catlea asked curiously. This was an item that could spur Ancient Faction into an attempt on attacking a secret organization headquarters. It definitely wasn't simple. Its importance might even exceed that of an ordinary angel. It's stronger. Exceed that of an ordinary angel. Stronger than some grade 0 sealed artifacts. Emlyn didn't hide anything. It's a holy artifact left behind by our Sanguine ancestor. I'm not sure what particular accident led to the Rose School of Thought obtaining it. That's the trap. A holy artifact left behind by Lilith. In the hands of the Rose School of Thought, the Sanguine had placed great importance on it. This time, Klein, who was acting as a world Gurman Sparrow with his true body, had key points flashing through his mind. Then, together with his understanding of many secrets, he quickly had an unconfirmed theory that might be the key to the Mother True Desire's ability to intrude and control part of the Moon Domain's authority. This is something Miss Sharon and the others didn't mention. The Sanguine have kept things from them as well and have quite great ambitions. Yes, I can use ambitions to describe them. The ancestor Lilith, whose identity is unknown, seems to have foreseen the chaos from the situation and the coming of the apocalypse. Therefore, the Sanguine was made to change its style and become more proactive so as to have more things to rely on. This is the acquisition of a life buoy, the best bait. That's definitely going to be the best bait. An artifact of the Sanguine ancestors. Oh, man, this is the acquisition of a life buoy. It's not buoy. Buoy? Let me see. Text to speech.
This is the acquisition of a life buoy in...
Oh, it is life buoy. This is the acquisition of life buoy in preparation for the apocalypse. Klein didn't say a word as he listened silently. The others who were also taking in the important information that the moon had revealed, and Alger was no exception. He pondered for a few seconds before saying, in other words, you Sanguine will be hiding in secret this entire operation and won't be targeted by the Rose School of Thought. Yes. Emlyn answered rather casually. The Sanguine plan was jointly decided by the Duke Oldmere and Marquise Nibbs, as well as a few earls in Backland. Many problems have undoubtedly been brainstormed and reconsidered. Regardless, even if a pig were to live for more than a millennia, it would definitely gain a certain level of wisdom and experience. Olga nodded slightly. I have another question. How are you so sure that the backland person in charge of the Royal School of Thought is only a saint? There might be more demigods or even an angel hiding. You should know very well the situation in backland is very complicated. It's not impossible for the Royal School of Thought to increase the number of powerhouses it has to plot certain matters. If that's the case, you will end the resembling thieves who wish to steal something, only to storm the right into Civilized Yard. Civilized Yard was another name for Backland Police Department. Emlyn became more relaxed. This time, Duke Oldmer will personally watch over the entire process. Even if the Royal School of Thought Angel descends, we can easily escape. In addition, no matter which side, they're not actually willing to create an intense conflict in Backland. Without any crushing advantage or confidence to not cause a huge commotion, they will naturally cease any fighting. Upon hearing his answer, the corners of Cat Leah's mouth curled up indiscriminately as she warned. To beyonders who aren't demigods, even a slight clash between angels would produce aftershocks that are enough to destroy them. Shit, dude. Ooh, that sounds hype. Emlyn snapped out of his state of drowning in a pride from experience of the potency of the wind. He was momentarily at a loss for words. At this moment, Audrey's eyes darted around as though she was thinking of something. Mr. Moon, what do you need to do in this plan? What do I need to do? Monitoring the secret members of the Royal School of Thought and locking onto the true target for the information so he can do anything. And locking onto the information received will be done by Earl Mistral. The one who will ultimately take action is Marquise Nibs, Earl Mistral, and the Royal School of Thought Temperance Faction Demigod. Duke Olmer will be the one monitoring in secret to prevent any accidents. My only job is to apparently to contact with a Wraith named Merrick and maintain communications between both parties. The more Emlyn thought about it, the odder his expression became. It seemed like there was nothing for him to do, or at least nothing particularly important. So much for being a fucking messiah, dude. Next fucking chapter, dude. Let's just go straight into it. Chapter 1043 is each having their own plans. Emlyn blinked as he leaned back in his chair. He spoke unhurriedly with a hint of smile. He answered Miss Justice's question. What I need to do is very simple. My role is to ensure that both parties can complete with the collaboration successfully. That means you don't need to participate in the battle, right? Audrey had originally wanted to press with such questions, but after sizing up the moon, she reflected on the words said and said with a faint smile. Since that's the case, there's only one thing you need to do to ensure your own safety. Makes sense. I can't affect myself because of this matter. Anyways, there's nothing that needs my assistance. I'm not in charge of the risky parts of the operation. I'll ask Rent Lehman Travels and spend some money to get the world to receive a few pages of teleport. My safety will basically be guaranteed. Emlyn thought for a few seconds and said with a nod. Excellent suggestion. As there were no other members of the Terror Club participating in the Sanguine's hunting operation and wasn't under the control, the private mini-gathering quickly ended and the participants returned to the real world. Klein wasn't in a rush to leave. After his figure disappeared, he appeared in the fool's chair again and beckoned for the unshadowed crucifix and the Marauder Pathway mystical item, Broken Finger. I've heard my slur, like my slur, my what was it? I said mystical item, Broken Finger. At that moment, the surface of the two grayish white tweezers that resembled the polishing of the finger bones had produced a piece of gravel that sucked all the light around it, making it look pitch black. It slowly swirled and gathered as though it was trying to form a new shape. As for the Broken Finger, the grayish-white color had turned transparent as it reflected some light, producing tiny holes. The unshadowed crucifix can actually slowly purge the beyonder characteristics from mystical items and sealed artifacts and let them combine together. Of course, the premise is that there's quite a power similar to the mysterious space above the gray fog. You guys heard it? Above the gray fog to suppress it, allowing it to willingly make contact with items with beyonder characteristics. Klein nodded in satisfaction. At this moment, the grayish-white Broken Finger suddenly began to belt out in fervent voice. Oh, my son, praise the sun, praise the sun. As the tweezer-like object sang, a cracking sound emitted from it as though it was shattering into pieces at that moment. But this did not affect its praise of the sun. Klein gaped at the scene momentarily at a loss for what expression to show. After a few seconds, he sighed. He separated the unshadowed crucifix and Broken Finger and threw them into the corner. He just throws them into the junk pile. Throws them into the corner of the junk pile in different spots. He then suppressed the former using the powers of the gray fog. Then he prepared to leave and return to the real world. At this moment, the point of light, which represented the full only believer, emitted a rippling of light as sounds of the stacks of prayers were heard. Praise the sun, man. Praise the one and only Almighty. Klein reined in his thoughts and extended his spirituality over. Immediately, the scene in the knits praying in his hand and his room surfaced before his eyes as a corresponding voice echoed in his ear. Honorable Mr. Fool, your faith servant wishes for you to pass the following words to Germansboro. According to my captain, there are many items that see that are rumored to belong to Vice Admiral Ailment, but without any exception, they're all fake. And ever since she was injured after assault, the Pirate Admiral has placed great care in the secrecy of her course and seldom plunders. The last time her ship appeared was 2 months ago, and Theros Island, west of the Berserk Sea. Later, it cruised into the massive ocean. Her whereabouts are unknown for now. The foreign object in Anderson's stomach is now controlled to some degree and is separated from his body to a certain extent. It won't be able to penetrate his flesh for a very long period of time, so he's good. There are 2 ways to completely resolve this latent problem. One is to seek the help of the Sun Pathway Sequence 4 Unshadowed, to cleanse it. However, this has quite a high possibility of cleansing most of his bionic characteristics. Oh, not just the item, but like his characteristics itself. The second is to find the Hunter Pathway Sequence 4 Iron-Blooded Knight potion formula. Through the help of the ritual and ingredient, he can directly absorb the foreign object. Anderson is inclined towards the latter choice. He's happy to take the risk. It's obvious that Danitz is forwarding me Vice Admiral Iceberg's answer by imitating her style. This isn't his usual style of speech. However, some of his terms aren't precise enough. Could it be that Danitz has secretly modified it to use terms he understands better? Is he worried that Germansboro wouldn't be able to understand Klein? He's simplifying his captain's vocabulary. Klein pricked so German can understand. Klein pricked up his brows and cast his attention back into the content itself. Vice Admiral Aliment adhered to the vice from the demonist sect and has hidden in the relatively critical period. If that's the case, it's basically impossible to capture her in a short span of time. In 1 to 2 months' times, perhaps the matter will completely blow up and I wouldn't have a need to seek her out. I'll first see the needs to look for her and keep some hope. My focus will be on fighting Demoness Trissy. I have a way to contact her and can consider using the excuse of working together to deal with the sanguines of the White Katarina to make her meet with Germansbro. I'll see if I can control her and use her to finish out Katarina. The elimination of Anderson's latent problem has 2 solutions, both of which I can help with, since he's inclined towards the taking risks by advancing to absorb the foreign objects. I don't have to worry about using the nits to promote the option of leasing the unshuttered crucifix to him. That's good. At least I don't have to worry about the crucifix given by Adam creating some nasty chemical reaction with the foreign object Adam left in him. Okay, so he'd be good. He'd be safe. As for the potion formula for Iron-Blooded Knight, with how Anderson had played an important role in luring Ince Zengwil, it's not like I can't give it to him. The foreign object in his stomach is Adam's payment. I wonder if we'd be able to use it or turn it into something. Like we turn it into an artifact after. Bestow it to him, since he isn't a believer of the fool. Germansbro has no reason to give him something at such a high level. Amidst his thoughts, Klein quickly made a decision. He conjured the world Germansbro. It made him take on a prayer stance. In the fog sea on the Golden Dream, bang. The wooden door was pushed open and slammed heavily into the wall. Amidst this loud commotion, Anderson, who had been flipping the pages of a book, looked at the Nitz, who was standing by the door with his usual expression. There's a very good mission for you. With a cloak draped over his shoulders, the Nitz raised his chin and chuckled. Anderson sized up the pirate opposite him and Tisk. You seem to be very smug. What's the mission? The Nitz glanced at Anderson and said, accompany me to Theroso Island and help me seek out Vice. Oh shit, round 2? Help me seek out Vice Admiral Ailment whereabouts. In addition, help me gather the Beyonder ingredients needed for Conspirer. You'll have to pay for it. Anderson nodded and thought, then what is the reward? The corners of the Nit's mouth widened as he said in condescending manner, the Iron-Blooded Knight's supplementary ingredients list and the advancement ritual. Anderson didn't respond. He didn't say a word as he focused his gaze on the Nitz for nearly 10 seconds. Then, as though he was burning with impatience, he threw away the book in his hand and stood up. He said with a bright smile, when do we set off? Backland Eastboro in a rental apartment that has its curtains drawn. Trissy, who was dressed in a black dress, packed her luggage, prepared to head to the next hideout. Her slightly round face was a little slimmer than before. Apart from her sweet smile, she had been an indescribable, elegant, and beautiful look. Even though she was in a dirty and chaotic Eastboro, she seemed to be untainted by any dirt. Trissy didn't immediately pick up her black suitcase. After looking around, she walked to the desk and unfolded a piece of paper. She picked up a pen and wrote, Mr. Germansboro, I've obtained information I need from the captain of the Royal Guards. He is truly loyal to the King George III. You should understand what this means. Next, my goal is to figure out what this king wants. For that, I plan to oppose the demonist sect Saints of White Katarina, she definitely knows the corresponding secrets. She's a sequence 3, a demoness of unaging. She's very difficult to kill, and it's very difficult to capture her. I have to admit that just my strength alone isn't enough to deal with her. If you're interested and confident, we can try cooperating. I guess we're gonna have to cooperate. You know how to contact me, Trissy. Oh my god, dude. She is joining the Terror Club this volume, bro. She has to join this volume. Like, bro, if we're already recruiting her for a mission and like clients like, well, I guess we could use her. Bro, just fucking recruit her, bro. Just do it, bro. Pull the bandage. Recruit her already. Putting down the pen, Trissy folded the letter and began setting up the ritual to summon German Sparrow's messenger. She had only written to the crazy adventurer now because she was worried that he would lock onto her hiding spot with the help of his messenger. And then teleport over, bringing her to launch an assault. Therefore, she waited until she was about to move before making an attempt. Although Trissy wasn't sure what German Sparrow's motives were and couldn't determine if he would launch a surprise attack on her, out of habit, she chose the most reliable method for her just to be safe. She is back. She's fucking back. But she's not fully back yet. She's not back until she joins the club. After handing the letter to the messenger, I'll leave and wait for German Sparrow to contact me. I'll try not to meet him until we begin taking action. I wonder what faction is hiding behind him. I have to focus on mobilizing and using him and not to trust him too much. This is indeed troublesome, but it's sufficiently safe. As Trissy thought, she ended what she was busy with and took 2 steps back. Looking at the candlelight, she chanted an ancient Hermes. I summon in my name, the spirit that wanders about the unfounded, the friendly creature that can be subordinated, that belongs to German Sparrow. Easy became a Shia LaBeouf for a sec. Shia LaBeouf? I'll just do it. I used to make fun of that meme, but like now I get it, bro. It took me 10 years to realize, like, yo, he was speaking facts, bro. Like, literally just do it. I thought that was a meme, bro, when I was a teenager. Now I'm like, wait, that man was spitting facts, dude. Just as she finished speaking, the candlelight burgeoned and turned abnormally pale. Following that, a figure stepped out of the candlelight and wore a dark and complicated robe, holding 4 blonde, red-eyed heads. The 4 blonde heads had 8 bloodshot eyes that darted around simultaneously as they cast her gaze at Trissy. Trissy's pupils dilated as though she saw something extremely terrifying. Oh shit! That was the end of the chapter. What did she see? Next chapter. Well, let's go straight into it, dude. All right, chapter 1044 is called Placing Herself in Tides, like in the Terror Club tides kind of tides, or what are we talking about? Backland Street, Georgeboro, and a factory room filled with junk. Light flashed in a mirror filled with obvious cracks. Its surface turned dark and deep, as though it was connected to another world. Suddenly, a white hand reached out from under the mirror as though it had penetrated through layers of aqueous waves. A figure walked out from the shadows. She was none other than the sweet and beautiful demoness Trissy in a long black hair. Long black hair. I'm thinking about the wig I'm gonna wear later. Yo, what's up, dude? The long black dress. There was a rare paleness to her face, as though her face had lost all of its ruddiness. Her forehead was covered in dense beads of sweats. With a smacking sound, the suitcase in Trissy's hand fell to the ground. She could hardly suppress the horror in her eyes. She then muttered to herself blankly, "His messenger is actually an angel." Oh, she's stressing out now. His messenger is actually an angel. At that moment, Trissy felt a chill run down her spine as though a cold wind blew. He's like, maybe German is a lot stronger than I thought he was. At that moment, Trissy felt a chill run down her spine as though a cold wind had blown at her. She had never expected how dangerous it would be to summon a messenger previously. Thankfully, the woman holding the 4 heads in her hand watched her silently for a while before she left without doing anything. 160 Buckland Street, inside Dwayne Dante's mansion. Hey man, I finally joined the Discord. Yo, what's up, dude? Unhinged fan? Yo, what's up? Wait, unhinged? Are you unhinged or are you like unhinged number 2? Wait. Unhinged fan. You're not like the old unhinged. Are you the new unhinged? Wait. Oh, but thank you for joining the Discord, bro. Awesome, dude. 116 Buckland Street inside Dwayne Dante's mansion. Who's it from? Klein ask. Fan still in prison? I haven't spoken in chat before. It's nice to meet you. What's up, dude? It's nice to meet you too. 160 Buckland Street. I hope you have a fun day, man. 160 Buckland Street inside Dwayne Dante's mansion. Who's it from? Klein asked with anticipation as he received the letter from Miss Messenger. Sure. The 4 heads in Renette Tinker's hand spoke one after another. It's actually unhinged number 2. Who was the other one? Vessel of the Darkness. This nickname? Trissy's nickname is Vessel of the Darkness. Oh, Vessel of Trissy. Of Cheek. Oh, got it. Vessel of Cheek. Oh, so Cheek was dirtiness? Vessel of dirtiness, darkness. This nickname, Klein was taken aback when he heard that. For a moment, he didn't immediately figure out who Miss Messenger was referring to. In his mind, the people who knew how to summon his messenger quickly flashed past one by one as he filtered through them. In a few seconds, he had the corresponding guest, Trissy. Damn, hi, Easy. I haven't joined the live stream for a little while. What's up, dude? What's up, Lee? From what Klein knew, this demoness who had been renamed to Trissy Cheek might very well be one of the mediums for the primordial demoness's awakening or descent upon the world. Oh, man. I can see like an all-out fight between like the primordial demoness, fucking like everybody, like like Lilith, like everybody just starts descending and like they all start inhabiting somebody from their pathway. Oh man, it's gonna be so good. In such a situation, calling her a vessel wasn't wrong, and people who knew enough about the mysterious world knew that the primordial demoness was an evil goddess, one that was known as the ultimate bringer of the apocalypse that would end everything. She had the creation of the apocalypse and the destruction of everything as her mission. She also wielded the authorities such as desires related to feelings and emotions. It wasn't very apt to describe her with dirtiness and darkness, but it was understandable. Similarly, dirtiness and darkness could also describe Chisu, who had been corrupted by the evil goddess to a certain extent. As expected of an angel, she actually dared to say that about the primordial demoness. Klein secretly marveled as he opened the letter, like, oh man, she's so ballsy saying that out loud. Klein secretly marveled as he opened the letter and quickly read it. At that moment, he suddenly recalled something. He hurriedly looked at Miss Messenger and said, what reaction did your sender have when you saw it? She was very scared. Renette Tanker 3 had spoke one after another without giving the last one a chance to speak, as his head was simply left agape. Klein Express turned slightly heavy as he deliberated and asked, did you mark her? The head of Renette Tinkers, which failed to speak, previously rushed to speak. No. The remaining 3 blonde red eyes heads added, because she had the aura of the primordial. Oh shit. So we can mark her because she has that mark? Klein fell silent for a few seconds before nodding. I understand. After watching Miss Messenger step into the void and leave, he unfurled the piece of paper and quickly read Trissy's letter. She actually sought me out to deal with Saintess of White Katarina. Isn't this exactly what I wanted to do? Klein's eyes shimmered for a few times as he immediately ruminated for a black sticky blob. Right on the heel of that, he transformed into Gerbenspro and smeared the blob uniformly onto a tiny mirror in the room. After patiently waiting for nearly 10 minutes, the black sticky blob vanished into thin air, leaving nothing behind it. Klein had failed to contact Demoness Trissy. As expected, Trissy, who has been corrupted by the primordial demoness to a certain extent, managed to identify Miss Messenger's level and was given a fright. She probably wouldn't communicate with Gerbenspro anytime soon. So if I had known Miss Messenger is a special angel, I definitely wouldn't have let her appear in front of Trissy, or I would have informed her that if a demoness were to summon her, she can bring both the person and letter over. Klein sighed silently and could only blame it on his luck. At that moment, he suddenly heard a series of illusory pleas. Is Trissy praying? To the full? In a dark alley in Backland Bridge area, Shio had Wintry Blade. Okay, Shio had Wintry Blade and entered the area, looking around warily. Not bad, you're getting more and more experience. A deep male voice sounded and a figure walked out of the darkness around the corner. He stood tall, wearing a golden mask that revealed his eyes, nostrils, mouth, and cheeks. It was none other than the MI9 member who had contacted Shio before. Why did you contact me so urgently? Shio asked. The golden masked man didn't make any small talk and directly asked, you still seem to be monitoring Viscount Stratford's surroundings. Have you discovered anything unusual recently? Shio thought and said yes. He had intimate contact with a girl of an unknown origins. He made her visit him at his residence late at night several times. I tried to track that woman down, but I failed both times. Also, Viscount Stratford suddenly went out in the middle of the night 2 days ago. I don't know where he went because I didn't manage to follow him. The golden masked man tearfully acknowledged this as he went deeper into the details. Shio answered according to the details she had seen back then. She only concealed the fact that she had met Charmaine in the carriage and how she had followed Viscount Stratford all the way outside the warehouse. Not bad, your persistence was rewarding. The golden masked man nodded slightly. He didn't seem to doubt what Shio had said. Alright. He sighed and said, with your contributions to us, this will increase significantly. The jokes write themselves. Call that 008. Your Discord mods put me in prison due to my name. Is it that problematic? Oh no, I think they just thought you were somebody else. I'm pretty sure it's been sorted out now. So I think we're good. He sighed and said, with that, your contributions to us will increase significantly. To be frank, if this continues, you'll soon be able to accumulate the contributions needed for sequence exposure. However, before that, there will definitely be a strict examination, and with your background, If it will fail the examination without a doubt. After all, I know it very well. Actually, there's no need for you to seek the truth. I know that this was a motivation for you to persist in contacting the mission regarding Viscount Strafford. But my personal suggestion is to put the matter aside. With your current sequence and abilities, it's enough to let your mother and brother lead a very good life. Don't worry, no one will cause you trouble. And if you wish to continue persisting, I cannot guarantee what will happen. Although Shio had already expected such an explanation, she was helpless in resisting her emotions and throbbing her heart. She blurted out, "Who exactly are you?" I'm just an ordinary mid-sequence beholder. The golden... Oh, wait. I'm just an ordinary mid-sequence beyonder. What if that was her dad the whole time? Like, he never actually died and he's kind of just been watching her? I'm just an ordinary mid-sequence beyonder. The golden masked man said with a smile. You might not know that the post of the captain of the Royal Guards has a corresponding authority in MI9. It's equivalent to a deputy director that handles the matters related to royal family. Back when your father was alive, I was his subordinate? Oh, man. I was his subordinate and received his help in various aspects. After his passing, I, who didn't commit any wrongs or hide any matters, was removed from the core of MI9. See, I'm only responsible for informants on the outside like you. Upon seeing that, the Golden Masked Man sighed. Your father helped me a lot, so after I recognized you, I deliberately made you become an informant under me. With the extent of my power, I provided you some help. I have a family of my own and my own life, so I can't take excessive risks or do anything too dangerous for you. Oh my god. Really? So he's actually, no wonder he's been so persistent to Shio since volume 2. Didn't we hear last stream that his dad was executed on the spot? Well, maybe it was like faked, right? Like I was like, maybe it was faked. Like maybe like that was his way out. You fake it, but like he can't be with his family. I was trying to think like deeper, like, oh, maybe there's more behind it just being like a killing, right? Like maybe there's more behind it. But that's so sweet. Like he worked under him. He was a bro. He was a fucking bro. Since volume 2, he's like, hey, you're my informant. And oh, it's gonna be so cool rereading that. Let's do this. I'll help you get the potion formula for Judge. Afterward, stop your contributions and your pursuit to advance your sequence. Do something that will improve your life. As for what you want to do or plan to do in private, I don't know, nor do I want to know. What a fucking bro, dude. Shio fell into daze. Her lips trembled as she said, what kind of person? Oh, I'm about to cry. What kind of person was my father? Oh, man, I didn't think she was gonna have me crying over here. It's gonna be so bad when I'm wearing clown makeup and I'm crying. I'm just realizing that. It's gonna be so bad. Oh, maybe I shouldn't wear it. What kind of person was my father? The golden masked man sighed as he replied, he was a really brave noble and just aristocrat, but he wasn't that perfect. He was impulsive, eager, prone to anger. She was silently listened and had planned on asking further, but all she said was a phrase, thank you. Go back. After obtaining the Judge formula, I'll leave you a message to meet me, the golden masked man said with a wave. After Shio completely disappeared from the alley's entrance, the golden masked man was just about to turn around when a slightly ethereal voice sounded in her ears. She's lying. Oh shit. Oh wait, what the fuck? She's lying? Who's whispering? Oh, now he's like, fuck, what do I do? She's lying. She had tailed Viscount Strafford to the scene back then. It's something that can be confirmed. The golden masked man fell silent for a moment before saying to the shadow beside him, she might have only been worried that this would have aroused suspicion. How can she defeat Viscount Strafford at her sequence? Besides, wasn't it said that Viscount Strafford carried a grade 1 sealed artifact? I believe that she likely didn't dare approach, otherwise she wouldn't even be able to survive. The slightly ethereal voice replied, no matter what, since there is a doubt, we need to do further investigation. Oh shit. Oh, this isn't good. He is so dead, bro. This MI9 guy is so fucking dead. He's gonna try and protect her, man. Oh, fuck. No matter what, since there is doubt, we need to do further investigations. Don't inquire about it in the future. Don't inquire. Of course he's gonna fucking inquire. Outside the alley, she'll walk calmly along the street lamp. She deliberately didn't mention that she had followed Viscount Strafford. This wasn't to hide the truth, to clear herself of suspicion, or to not invite trouble. In fact, this was the contrary to her true motives. Before the Terror Club, her plan was to say that she had followed Viscount Strafford to a particular warehouse in the dock area. At times, she was scared off by a terrifying hurricane. This was more convincing and made it less prone to suspicion. However, after knowing that this matter piqued the world Grimsborough's interest, she secretly changed her mind and decided to use her explanation to garner suspicion. She felt that she wanted to investigate the king's secret at her level. It might take another 3 to 5 years or even longer. Perhaps there wouldn't be any hope forever, but with the world's help, success was a probability. As such, she was willing to bear the risk and place herself right in the middle of the tides. And today, title drop, the tides, the middle of the tides. And today, before meeting the golden masked man from MI9, Shio had prayed to Mr. Fu so that he can inform the world government Sparrow of her thoughts. Okay, so at least now he knows what's going on. All right. Next chapter is called Dreamwalker. I almost said Endwalker, but it's called Dreamwalker. Chapter 1045 is called Dreamwalker. Above the endless gray fog in a magnificent and ancient palace, with one hand holding the unshattered crucifix and the other holding the sea god scepter, he was observing the real world through the crimson star that represented judgment. In his spiritual vision, apart from the short Miss Shio and the golden mask MI9 officer, there was another person hiding in a dark alley. This was a man in his 30s. He didn't have any special features, and he looked like the typical Lowaness man from the mid-north area. Not only did he blend into the shadows, but he also had the characteristics of automatically making people dismiss his existence. If he weren't above the gray fog and had true vision, clients suspected that even he wouldn't be able to discover the person. If he were there in person, he would only be able to outline the person with his spiritual intuition when the person took any abnormal actions. Hiding in the shadows with a psychological invisibility, half of it depends on an item while the other half depends on the sequence. In conclusion, this isn't a demigod. That's right, in the eyes of the king's faction, Miss Shio is only sequence 7 and doesn't have any notable mystical items. If the matter concerning Vissian Stratford was really related to her, there must be a mastermind behind her or even a faction. In this situation, where there are undercurrents surging about, letting a demigod who might know too much perform the investigation might throw them into a trap. I'm kind of scared for Shio now that she's kind of getting caught in the crossfire of all this. And if a demigod who knows little of the situation were to do it, there might be a chance that this information to be leaked to the three churches and result in an impetus for them to be investigated. In that case, a Sequence 5 or Sequence 6 Beyonder with trustworthy strength, while also not knowing too many secrets due to his limitations in rank, is an excellent choice. Klein silently said to himself, giving up his thought of teleporting over as Gurman Spur to capture him. He couldn't get any useful information for now. He decided to wait patiently, waiting for the situation to change. Of course, it wasn't possible for him to continue monitoring from above the Great Fog. If that happened, his physical body in the real world would be defenseless for prolonged periods of time. An accident would be disastrous. Hence, he created a batch of charms and handed it to the Judgment, the Magician, and the other Terror Club members. They were to immediately activate the charms if the situation deteriorated. That way, they could receive the help of the world. This would be simpler than directly reciting the honorific name of the fool to get him to forward the information. This was inspired from the... That's smart. This was inspired from the Evernight coat of arms that the ascetic leader of the Church of Evernight, Ariana, had provided him. It was equivalent to a solidified ritual that pointed to him, so it points to him directly. From a mystical angle, the principle that wasn't complicated, the difficulty needed in carrying out the ritual was that the target could react upon receiving the news from a distance away. This was to mean that for a limited distance, a Sequence 3 Saint was fine, but for an unlimited distances, it needs to be at least angel level. Okay, that makes sense. You have to be a higher level. As a newly advanced demigod, Gurman Sparrow was able to allow the charm to be useful before, but he used the corresponding honorific name and the symbol of Sea God Calvatua, and with the help of the Great Fog, he could respond throughout the world. It sounded a little complicated, but simply putting, he had made use of his other identities level. I'm waiting for the Merlin identity level. That's the one I'm waiting for. I'm waiting for the Merlin level. As for the materials used for the charms, they were mostly tin, extremely easy to obtain and cheap. In the Backland Bridge area, Shio had both hands in her brown jacket pockets as he strolled leisurely along the streets. Under the light of a street lamp that was quite a distance away, her expression was relatively calm, but she unusually intense. The hands in her pocket either held the hand of Wintry Blade through a hole while the other was holding on to a charm made of tin with some force. That was the summoning charm provided by the world of Gurman Sparrow. As she walked, she made several detours without suffering from any ambushes. The night remained quiet and tranquil. Initially, she was worried that the king's faction would be able to openly capture her through MI9 or other official organizations and bring her back for an investigation. In this case, summoning Mr. World would only lead him into an extremely awkward and dangerous... It wouldn't be awkward. Extremely awkward and dangerous situation. It was equivalent to being at odds with all the official factions in Backland. And then that's where we get our new Merlin persona. I'm seeing the dots here. This scenario is what leads us to having a new persona. But later she realized that such a development wouldn't occur. This is because her existence would be exposed to the three churches. When that happens, The ones doing the investigation definitely wouldn't be the King's faction, signed MI9. The investigation must be done in secret. The person that appears might not even be someone from the military. Well, they're still watching, afraid that I'm only bait. Mr. World said not to trouble him if we can resolve it ourselves. Shield looked around her without letting down her guard. She didn't continue loitering outside and returned to the periphery of Eastboro and entered her rented condominium. Man, sometimes sucks living in Brazil. My time sometimes doesn't fit easy life. Oh, I'm so sorry, dude. Oh, it's crazy, Nathan. I'm sorry. Mr. Geeky, sir, how long have you been streaming OTM content? 8 months? Since October. I can't do math right now, but since I started reading it, I believe in October or September. I think I started. Wow, it's almost been a year. We're almost at 1 year, frankly speaking. But then there was a part where I took 1 month off in January because I was really sick this year. And then when I went to Japan, I kind of had to take like another month off. So we've lost about like 2 months worth of reading time. So roughly. Although as long as Forrest hid in Eastboro and seldom went out, it wasn't certain that MI9 could find her. Doing so would lead to the corresponding investigations to reach out further. Based on her past experiences, family and friends, as well as people communicated by the letter, would definitely be investigated. This easily affected the others. Furthermore, if the two of them hid separately and didn't stay together, the feeling of them being bait became too obvious. It made it difficult for them to hook up any targets. After getting Forrest's approval, Shio finally chose to face the subsequent developments with her friend. Opening the door and entering the house, Shio had just taken off her cap when she saw Forrest put down the magazine. Cool. Have you liked it so far? I fucking love it, man. I love it. I read so badly in the beginning, but yeah, man, we've come a long way. I love it. It grows on me the more I read it. You weren't followed, right? This was a secret signal. I don't know. How long have you guys been reading it again, man? It's been a while, right? You guys have definitely been reading it longer than me. This was a secret signal that the two of them had agreed upon ahead of time. On the surface, it showed that they're concerned about being followed, but they were actually asking if they had been investigated. No, Shio shook her head seriously. Forrest didn't continue this topic. Instead, she went on and on, grumbling about how she couldn't buy any good tea leaves and alcoholic beverages in the vicinity. It required her to walk very far to find them. This warm and peaceful atmosphere continued till late at night. The two of them entered the bedroom and slept in the bunk beds. After the candles were extinguished, Shio was about to say something when a holy light suddenly appeared in front of her. The light instantly condensed into a silhouette and 12 pairs of wings formed. Oh, shit's the angel. And 12 pairs of wings formed from scarlet flames appeared on its back. The figure descended and layers of wings closed, enveloping Shio. That's so cool, man. Is there any artwork on his angel? And I'm too scared to look it up, by the way. Mr. Fool's angelic blessing. Shio was instantly enlightened. This was also a matter that she had solemnly asked Mr. Fool when she made a prayer to contact the world Gurmansboro, as she already knew that apart from the demonist sect, the psychology alchemist was also working with the Night King's faction. And not only were Beyonders the spectator pathway capable of hypnosis, this is perfect for war. I started reading like 5 months ago. Oh shit, that's so awesome, dude. Wait, and you're already at my part, or did you finish it? Damn, that's crazy, man. Damn, you guys are quick, dude. But they could also dreamwalk. They needed to be careful. Dreamwalker. They needed to be careful of any investigations that used these two powers. If she didn't prepare herself, she suspected that she wouldn't even detect an investigation she had been carried out, let alone be able to inform Mr. World. Everything quickly calmed down. She opened her mouth and said to Forrest, who was sleeping in the bunk beneath her, "Good night." Good night. Forrest didn't react in time, as though she was almost falling asleep. This made Shio realize that she had also received the angelic blessings. Time ticked by and two fell asleep. After an unknown period of time, the dazed Shio suddenly snapped awake, aware that she was dreaming. Oh, wow. You're on volume 6? Damn, that's crazy, dude. So she's dreaming right now. Right on the heels of that, she felt somewhat shadowy, floating in a dark alley, and all kinds of thoughts from deep within her heart surged out to form a dream. At first, she was a little frightened. She wanted to wake up from her dream, but no matter how hard she tried, she couldn't extract herself from that state. It was as though she was still in a dream when she would open her eyes. She quickly calmed down and tried to control these thoughts, only to realize that it wasn't difficult. Thus, the memories of the attacks on Viscount Stratfords were buried. However, after some consideration, Shio deliberately didn't do it well, leaving some clues behind. In the dreamland, she and Forrest discovered that something weird had happened inside the warehouse, but it wasn't the same account she had given to MI9 that the tornado throw through the roof. Furthermore, they didn't escape immediately. Shio believed that this would allow the person who invaded her dream to notice a problem, but be unable to resolve it, so they won't be able to figure out. After this, the investigators would confirm that there was a demigod or some faction behind the two of them. They would then believe that they were too difficult to deal with because the level of the secret wasn't too high. So if they weren't able to perceive it, they'd be like, oh shit, this guy's high. It's a high level. This way, it was likely that they would send a demigod to deal with the aftermath, and this was the development that Shio anticipated. After all, every demigod had a high probability of knowing the king's secret due to the positions they occupied. At this moment, Shio's dreams began to turn scattered, as though she had escaped some sort of guidance. She knew that this was a sign of the intruder leaving. She's like, I'm safe. For the rest of the night, nothing abnormal happened to her and Force. Next chapter. All right, next chapter. A test. Are you guys ready? That gentle voice, as I check if everything is still up here. Everything is good. Maybe. Searching on easy VODs? Yeah, check it out, dude. That gentle voice seemed to resonate with the thoughts deep in Audrey's heart. She only felt a little resistance to it before feeling as though it came from her heart, and that it was her truest thoughts. Hyven Rambus looked at her emerald green eyes and said unhurriedly, secondly, in the upcoming banquet and ball, don't be as opposed as before to the few princess who take the initiative to show their fondness. Also praise them a few times in front of the Earl Hall and his wife. Remember all of the above. This is a reflection of your subconscious. Then forget that I once said these things to you. Forget that this behavior is different from your usual behavior. Don't try to seek blessings and stay away from the key spots of the Church of the Evernights Mass. With that said, Hyven Rambus retracted his gaze from Audrey's eyes. He turned to cue Annie and the rest, preventing them from being surprised by the mistress' subsequent odd behavior. After dealing with all these things, he disappeared from the carriage without causing a stir. Ring. Another bike passed by the window as Audrey's slightly anxious eyes recovered their luster. She looked at the people on the street coming and going as she suddenly let out a soft exclamation. Then, embarrassed, she turned her head to say to Annie and the rest, I forgot something. I have to visit Glank first. At this moment, the carriage hadn't left Emperor's Borough and wasn't too far from the Viscount Glank's residence. The servants like Annie didn't find it strange or became put in difficult position. They quickly instructed the coachman to turn into another street. And what do we see? This continued until 20 minutes to 10 in the morning. Audrey finally arrived at Phillip Street. She walked into the second floor of the Lowen Charity Bursting Foundation and entered her direct office. Looking at Annie and the others either organizing documents or using spring water they bought alone to prepare the black tea, Audrey brought Susie along to the lounge that was attached to her office. It was as though she wanted to check out her face to determine if she needed her lady's maid to help touch up her makeup. During this process, Audrey glanced at the keyhole and asked Susie in a relaxed manner, was there anything abnormal with my behavior today? This was a habit she had only gotten in the past few days. It had only started from that moment Hyven Rambus disappeared. She knew that Mr. Fool's angelic blessing wasn't permanent. It could only be sustained for some time, and she wasn't able to determine when Hyven Rambus would visit her. When that happened, she wouldn't have the time to pray to Mr. Fool and do the corresponding preparations. Therefore, from her understanding and cautious attitude towards psychology and mysticism, she not only checked her behavior 3 times a day for any abnormalities or for any excessive coincidences, but she also instructed Susie to take note of her condition and be her mirror. This was a precautionary measure of being hypnotized by Hyven Rambus and cued without realizing it. But wouldn't she be able to negate this? Susie sat by her side and thought seriously before saying yes. Audrey's smile expression stiffened. She quickly looked at Susie and waited for her explanation. Susie wriggled her nose and looked around before continuing. You didn't plan on paying a visit to Viscount Glant when you left the house, but you changed your schedule halfway. You'll inform me of the general schedule ahead of time over the past few days. Also, you said that you would discuss it with me if you decide to suddenly change or add it to your schedule. A 4th unhinged has hit the Discord. A 4th unhinged was sent by the prison by OG. Upon hearing Sue's reply, Audrey's expression turned grave. I know. I heard unhinged. She's not being hypnotized. She's saying this in preparation. Isn't she saying if I get hypnotized, that's why she went back? That's what she's doing. She's like, I'll go. She's going back and she's talking to Susie. If I get hypnotized, do this. Right? Provoker, R, and Fan are the same person? There's no way they are the same person. There's no way. Did I fall for that? Was I hypnotized? Did I fall for that? Wait, she was hypnotized. Really? I thought this was like her countermeasure. That's what I'm saying is like, it's weird. She wouldn't be able to get hypnotized because she'd be able to pinpoint it. Like she'd be able to figure it out right away if she was ready. Okay. Upon hearing Sue's reply, Audrey's expression turned grave. They are? Really? I'm not. Never trust unhinged, remember? I don't know what to believe now. She's hop on the Discord voice chat. Only one way to find out. She still didn't feel that there were anything unusual about this matter, but this situation was extremely abnormal. This made her almost certain Hyven Rambus had been here before. Oh, right here it says it. Hyven Rambus had been here before, right after she left her house and before she entered Galaint's residence. The other party had already cued and hypnotized her and removed all traces. Oh, okay, so right here is telling us. I thought this was in preparation. This is funny. He provoked you to doubt he is the same person, okay? I still don't know what to believe, man. However, he didn't exhort a dog, making it feel like everything that it saw was normal. Audrey subconsciously wanted Susie to leave so that she could pray to Mr. Full, but she was hesitant. Would my current behavior be monitored by Hyven Rambus? Would he be sitting somewhere in his room and quietly be watching me? No, if that were to happen, he would have discovered a problem when I asked Susie. Praying wouldn't make the outcome any worse. Even if he's here, Mr. Fool would also discover it. I can promise a future sacrifice and pray that he directly sent divine punishment. However, why don't I wish to pray and ask for help? Audrey stood there, all kinds of feelings running through her as she instinctively wanted to escape. This made her realize the contradiction. She realized that there was a bit of resistance in her heart. She's subconsciously resisting. From the perspective of psychology and mysticism, she had a vague guess. She quickly put aside the idea of seeking help, allowing herself to be in her usual state of praying to the goddess without the desire of getting a response. This greatly reduced the conflict in her heart. A trial is going on in Discord. Both the defenses and prosecution are preparing. As for why Unhinged was sent to prison, I don't know, and why is OG's decision. And now I need to know. This greatly reduced the conflict in her heart. Audrey instantly became confident. She gestured for Susie to leave first, and then she looked into the mirror and began to softly hypnotize. She can hypnotize herself? She's hypnotizing herself to act that way. You're not asking for help. You're not only doing your usual prayers. You're not asking for help. You're only doing your usual prayers. After repeating it over and over again, the vortex deepened and light green as Audrey's eyes that could suck a person's soul slowly dissipated and her eyes returned to normal. She then raised both her hands and placed them between her mouth and nose. Then she chanted an ancient Hermes, the fool that doesn't belong to this era. I might have met Hyven Rambus. As she spoke, she didn't mention a desire for any help, but described her discovery. After waiting for a while, a deep red light appeared in front of Audrey, drowning her like a tidal wave. Suddenly, her thoughts became clear, and images flashed across her mind. It was Hyven Rambus in the black three-piece suit who was sitting in a horse carriage, sitting opposite her. It was the elder who had exhorted her with a great voice. It was the demigod from the spectator pathway whose light blue eyes had seemed to contain infinite wisdom and vortices? Vortices. I've never said that word in my life. At the same time, those words resounded in Audrey's ears again, making her remember everything that had happened. After the crimson glow disappeared, she saw the long bronze table in front of her. Sitting at the seat of the honor at the end of the table, it was a figure shrouded in the grayish-white fog. As emotions of fear, horror, and panic surged through her, she stood up, lifted her skirt, and curtsied to the great existence. Thank you for your blessings, Honorable Mr. Fool. Klein nodded and smiled approvingly. You handled it well. Upon hearing this, Audrey suddenly felt at ease, no longer as nervous as before. She sat down and calmly described what had happened to her. As a fool, there was no way for him to directly discuss things with Miss Justice, analyze it for her, or give suggestions. All he did was smile and say, "This is a test of fate." Oh, I want to see the trial, by the way. I'm down. Well, I'll hop on Discord. A test. Only through this test will I have the qualifications to become a demigod, so that I can protect the people I want to protect in Backland, which is in a state of turmoil. Audrey interpreted Mr. Fool's hint and nodded seriously. I understand. I don't understand. Without another word, Klein sighed and smiled. There's a third. I understand. I don't know if this is a grand scheme by Unhinged or this is just layers of complexity behind the troll. I don't know what's going on, but we'll find out. We'll get to the bottom of it. I understand. Without another word, Klein sighed and smiled. Go back and welcome it. Audrey is lowering the volume on stream. Audrey was about to express her gratitude again when the crimson light appeared before her eyes, blurring everything as she saw, and a blink of an eye she returned to the real world, but she didn't forget or ignore anything. A test. Does that mean that I have to resolve the danger of Hyven Rambus without exposing my secrets? Even if I caused the death of Hyven Rambus, I still wouldn't be suspected by the psychology alchemist. How should I do that? Audrey looked at the abnormally beautiful blonde in the mirror. She turned her head slightly and glanced slightly to the side. There was a large lounge in that direction. It belonged to the director, who didn't have any responsibilities in the foundation. Just 10 minutes ago, Audrey had seen Mr. Dwayne Dantes inside when she was heading up the stairs. Above the gray fog, Klein's fingers tapped the edge of the long bronze model table as he analyzed what had happened between Miss Justice and Misjudgment last night. That's not right. Adam had given me the unshuttered crucifix through Misjudgment and Miss Magician. How could she not know which existence is behind them? What other tests need to be done? Last night, I thought about the investigations of Miss Shio was purely an action for the King's faction, were the only one used to help a mid-sequence Beyonder from the Psychology Alchemist, and for some reason, Adam didn't share any information of the foe with the King's faction or the Demonist sect. After all, he still hopes that I can give him some feedback. I don't know, man. I don't know. I guess we're gonna find out, right? But from the looks of it, this problem... Oh, it's already the last page of this chapter. But from the looks of it, this probe has Adam involved in it. Otherwise, Hyven Rambus wouldn't be involved in this matter. Even for the Twilight Hermit Order, a saint is rather precious and important. They wouldn't give up so easily and sacrifice. What is Adam trying to test? He is testing to see if Misjudgment investigation of Scout Stratford and her subsequent actions were purely by her own choice, or if it had the will of the Fool involved. If the Fool gets unshadowed crucifix and realizes the King's secret is related to Adam's scheme, while still insisting that his subordinates investigate it, that would be making the Twilight Hermit Order an enemy, and Adam knows that Gurman Sparrow is blessed. But with Adam's abilities, there's no need to test out anything. Just sitting next to Misjudgment and listening to her true thoughts will be enough to grasp the actual situation. There's no need to go through so much effort unless he has already left Backland, or rather to avoid certain problems. He doesn't dare enter this big city again and can only investigate it through his subordinates. My warning to Miss Ariana and the Church of Evernight has taken effect, causing Adam to sense the danger of a divine descent. Probably, even though he knows that Gurman Sparrow has something to do with the deaf console, he probably wouldn't notice that something has happened to artificial deaf. Well, he wouldn't know yet. Even the numinous Episcopate artificial deaf faction hasn't noticed a thing. Therefore, with the authority of consume and augment... Well, I mean, if they actually go and check, then they will figure it out. With the authority of consume and augmenting this, he has no idea that the goddesses wouldn't be able to carry out a divine descent for a long period of time. Next up, I'll have to deal with Hyven Rambus. I must make sure that Miss Justice is steered clear so as to not have any relationships and isn't suspected. Just as his thoughts crossed his mind, he saw Miss Justice Audrey enter the director's lounge, through her prayer light on the search for Dwayne Dantes. He quickly reined in his thoughts and returned to the real world. So now he's going to go check up on her. Okay, awesome. So chapter 1047 is called Brainstorm. Good morning, where's Mr. Dantes? Audrey smiled politely as she asked a young male valet that was of the low and east ball in the sand. Uni bowed and said he went to the washroom and will be back soon. Honorable lady, do you wish to wait here? All right. Audrey found a single seater and sat down with all sorts of thoughts running through her mind. Frankly speaking, if she only had to deal with Hyven Rambus, she had already come up with a concrete plan. It was to hypnotize herself in advance. When Hyven Rambus came to gather feedback, she would activate the world Gurman Sparrow's charm without any ill intent. Then she would work with a crazy adventure to hunt the demigod. Oh my god, that'd be such a good team up, dude. Huh. In order to ensure that there aren't any problems, I can also make a request to Ma'am Hermit for help. She's always a demigod and can lurk in the darkness. She can combine forces with her. Hyven wants Rambus to become part of the royal family to manipulate the Hall families into helping the royal families. But you know, like, this is the thing that's worrying me, dude. I really think the psychology alchemists are employed to help, like, whatever war is going to happen. I think that's... I'm having my identity stolen. Identity theft is not a joke. Jim, identity theft is not a joke. Do you guys get that joke? It's kind of scaring me now. At first I thought, okay, psychology alchemists are good. They're on the good side. But then I was like, now I'm like, hold up. Now I'm kind of like doubting it. I don't know, man. In order to ensure that there aren't any problems, I can also make a request to Madame Hermes for help. She's already a demigod and can lurk in the darkness. She can then combine forces with Mr. World at critical moments. That way, Hyven Rambus likely wouldn't be able to escape. Audrey pursed her lips as she held back for her grinding her teeth. As for how the hermit was to come to Backland, she didn't find it problematic. She could rent out Layman's Travels and get Mr. World to record teleport before requesting Mr. Fold to pass through her. Oh, that'd be so good. But this way, even if Hyven Rambus didn't manage to escape, the psychology alchemist wouldn't have an ample reason to suspect the murderer was the last person the demigod had interacted with, Audrey herself. It's gonna be a good plan. Hyven wants to use Audrey's families to help the big plan of the royal families. I don't know, I'm scared. I'm actually kind of scared for her family now. Not only that, I really feel like they're gonna kill off Annie at some point. Their fucking Audrey's maid has been with us for so long. The second we start getting more in her daily life, I'm like, Annie is so dead. But this way, even if Hymus Rambus didn't manage to escape the psychology, I just read this. Demigod had interacted with Audrey herself. At this moment, the white, sideburns, and elegant Dwayne Johnson returned from the washroom. He smiled and greeted the noble lady who was waiting for him. After letting his valet Uni guard the door, this tycoon looked around before finally turning his gaze to Audrey. You seem to have encountered some difficulty. Audrey didn't interpret Mr. World's actions and replied frankly, yes. She gave a description of what she had encountered and said, what should I do to resolve the problem? What she really meant was how could she avoid leaving behind any remnant problems for the future? Klein smiled and said, why don't you discuss it with the two ladies? That's right, like Mr. Moon, we can request for a private mini gathering. Oh, Judgment Shield and the Magician Force will definitely participate. Apart from them, I can also invite Mr. World, Mr. Hag, Ma'am Hermit, Mr. Moon. I can count him out. I can count him out. Audrey felt excited for some baffling reason. At this moment, she felt as though she wasn't fighting alone. She's like, we ain't this together. I need to go. I think she's out, bro. The second we get more on her daily life, RIP. At this moment, she felt as though she wasn't fighting alone. I understand. Audrey nodded with a smile. She then thought of another problem and quickly took the opportunity to ask, Kevin Rambus has made me no longer reject the princess and praise them in front of my parents. What's his motive? Klein thought for a moment and said, perhaps it's to show some kind of friendliness on the surface. It's to rope in your father and make a hint to the Church of Everdine behind him. Regardless of the king's secret, whether it succeeds or not, he will definitely need at least one Orthodox Church support so as to reduce the opposing forces. Oh, unhinged Damon? We need an unhinged Damon. Is that so? Audrey didn't really reject Mr. World's explanation. This was politics she was familiar with. She was familiar with it if she had stripped off her other shells that involved beyond her powers. She didn't stay any longer and returned to her own office. After setting her daily affairs, she grasped her afternoon break and prayed to Mr. Fool and applied for a mini gathering to be conveyed. Wait, let me read this first before we call the missus for the clown makeup. Okay, so let's see. Let me just highlight this so I don't forget. Remember, the Kingdom of Loan has a new party and I thought it was only the Conservative Party. No, there's the new party. There's a new party and the Conservative Party, and Hyven wanted Audrey Hall to tell about the movement of her father. I remember that. She was trying to, like, put a mental cue in her to, like, give him info on his dad's info. And the movement of her father so that he can cause a fracture between them. No, I remember that part. I remember she was like, oh, it doesn't have to be anything crazy. Just tell me a little bit. And then Audrey's like, wait, no, that's, like, really important. I can't do that. So I thought that's the only thing. I didn't piece together that last part you mentioned, like how like he's trying to pair her with somebody else of the royal family. That I didn't piece together. But let me take a quick pause and let me do a quick phone call before we continue. Above the endless grayish white fog, what the fuck did I just say? Above the endless grayish white fog, dark red beams rose up around the long bronze table. Audrey looked around, stood up, and courteous to the other members. Everyone, I have something I wish to hear from you. A bit of time? Yeah, let's have a bit of time. Everyone, I have something I wish to hear from you. It sounds urgent. Augur nodded gently and replied. Audrey sat down and said yes. She then looked at Shu and Force. I met Hyven Rambus this morning. He hypnotized me to do two things for him and forgot his appearance. Fortunately, I was quite careful and cautious. I quickly discovered something odd, and thanks to Mr. Fool's blessings, I remembered everything. One of the things Hyven Rambus asked me to do was to arrange for a meeting with Miss Magician and Miss Judgment and take the opportunity to hypnotize them. I'll then obtain intel on the instigator for the actions they had recently taken and also get them to leave Backland as quickly as possible. What? Forrest was originally worried about Miss Justice's safety, but she never expected things to make one rotation before coming back at her and Shio. To think they targeted Miss Audrey, it's really hard to guard against them. She's targeted by a demigod. After a moment of shock, Forrest felt more astonished and afraid. She couldn't help but look at her friend and saw Shio sitting calmly, but her hands had unconsciously clenched into fists. Katlia didn't understand something as she frowned and asked, the psychology alchemist, or should I say Hyven Rambus, discovered that Miss Judgment and Miss Judgment are members of the Terror Club. This was a very serious and crucial matter. Above the endless gray white fog, dark red beams rose up around the long bronze table. Yo, it's gonna be sick, dude. Audrey looked around, stood up, and courteous to the other members. Everyone, I have something I wish to hear from you. It sounds urgent. Olga, I just fucking read this. This was a very serious and crucial matter. Oh, you're getting pretty far, dude. Awesome, dude. Thank you. Meet your doom. Audrey shook her head and said, no, it's only because I know them in the real world. At that moment, she no longer tried to hide her identity from Forge and Shio. In fact, ever since Shio joined the Terror Club and obtained the Judgment Card, Audrey knew that she would be exposed sooner or later. Through repeated observations, she had confirmed that 2 of her friends had already guessed it, but they tactfully didn't expose her. You know them, Katlia asked in surprise as she adjusted her heavy glasses. Audrey nodded. Yes, they were actually recommended by me. Mr. Hangman can testify. Didn't we chant Mr. Fool's honorific name because we wanted to save ourselves and get pulled in here? How did it become a recommendation process? Forrest looked at Miss Judson blankly before glancing at Shio, her face blank and confused. They don't know. Shio also had that rare similar expression because the word recommended had extended what she knew and was as well as her speculations. And we're going to end strong. Audrey felt a little embarrassed. She blinked and explained to her 2 friends, because all of you have your own special qualities and I also had joined the Terror Club, will develop and expand. I recommended the 2 of you, Mr. Fool. However, this was just a chance for you. If you hadn't passed Mr. Fool's test, he wouldn't have pulled you in. Test, what kind of test did I undergo? Forrest was still confused. As for Shio, she'd thought of many things, especially the origins of the paper that had Mr. Fool's honorific name, as well as her frantic search for an exorcism. No wonder I had an inkling that they knew each other. No wonder Misjudgment only entered the club after so long. This is probably due to her different individual experiences. Each of them had their own specialties. This specialty is the selection criteria. Do I have one? Katlia came to realization as she came up with a theory. Of course she has one. After this chapter, I have a request. We can make it equal exchange. Ooh, all right. We're going to see if this is an equal exchange. Bet. Almost there. We're almost there. We're 2/3 done with the chapter. Upon seeing this, Olger, who had some level of judgment regarding this, wasn't all that surprised as he chuckled and said, we can talk about this in the future. Miss Justice, the problem with you like to ask about is how to deal with Hive and Rambus. Yes, Audrey returned to the topic and asked seriously, if we not only have to deal with Hive and Rambus, but also prevent the psychology alchemist from suspecting me, what should I do? Olger didn't have an experience in dealing with a demigod, so all he could do was rely on his insight that had been built up over the years. He deliberated and said, lock onto the whereabouts of Hive and Rambus, only take action after he said interact with someone else. How do I lock onto him? Audrey asked the question herself before giving the answer. After getting the answer from Misjudgment and Miss Magician, I'll wait until Hive and Rambus leaves after I meet him again. Then I'll recite the Fool's honorific name and ask him, and I'll ask him to cast his gaze on the demigod. Theoretically, it's possible that my true vision above the gray fog has a radius of nearly 10 kilometers. As long as Hive and Rambus doesn't know teleport, I can confirm his location trajectory for a short period of time. Then I can return to the real world and directly teleport over. This will require the help of divination, but the problem is that it requires the Fool to be personally intervene. As a world Gurmansboro, Klein said in a hoarse voice, let me remind you of something. Misjudgment and Miss Magician had to mention Adam in the real world. The psychology alchemist originated from the ruins of Hermes, who is a member of the Twilight Hermit Order. And Mr. Fool doesn't wish to be at odds with the Twilight Hermit Order because of this matter. Even if we were to do anything, we must try not to let the other party know. Oh, it's gonna be good. This string of words contained a lot of information that made Olger, Katlia, and the rest feel like they were seriously experiencing a little brainstorm. A literal brainstorm. Shu and Force were also even more shocked. So the organization is called the Twilight Hermit Order. Mr. Fool doesn't want to be its enemy over this matter. Is it because he has just finished collaborating with the Angel of Imagination, Adam, over the matter of Insingo? I never expected the psychology alchemist to be related to the Twilight Hermit Order. Wait, Hermes. He's still alive? He's actually a member of the Twilight Hermit Order. So, oh, wait, so Klein is going to kill Hermes, and then he becomes Hermes. And that's his persona. That's his last persona. That's probably how it's going to play out. The members of this organization are really unimaginably important figures. Olger first glanced at Gurmansboro before failing to resist the urge to look at Katlia. He realized the latter was equally shocked without hiding it. The Twilight Hermit Order is the ancient secret organization that Emperor Rizal joined. Katlia mumbled to herself as if she was seeking confirmation. Gurmansboro gave the answer yes. After you return to the real world, it's best if you don't think about the matters like this again. You'll easily be detected. If you don't trust yourself, you can get Miss Justice to give you some psychological cues. I think that was a pretty good stream. Look, I only have like 1 hour recorded. And I kid you not, knocked out 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's not adding up. We have an hour and 8 minutes. I'm kind of doubting myself. Did I forget to hit record? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 chapters and an hour and 8 minutes. I don't know, man. There's 20 plus minutes that I was live. Huh. That's crazy. Remember not to fall for the unhinged misinformation, easy speeding. I think we read that a little quickly. Yeah, we read that so quickly. I don't know if I skipped a chapter now. No, my timestamps add up. 1 minute, 42, 12 minutes, 22 minutes, 34 minutes, 44 minutes, 56 minutes. Yeah. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Wow, yeah, that does add up. Wow, 6 chapters in an hour and 8 minutes. Wow, that was a good stream. All right. Well, don't worry, the stream's going to go for a few more minutes. We got to read our DM on Discord. But if you like what you see and you want to see more, we were definitely locked in. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe. And you know what? You guys should really look out for that episode 11 Donghua reaction. I think it's going to be pretty cool, man. I think it's going to be pretty badass, man. I think it's going to be pretty good if you ask me. Check DMs. I know, we're going to check DMs. We're going to end the video. So if you're watching, for people only watching the VOD, they should definitely check out the live streams so they can see what the DM was. Wait, you told me not to read it out loud, but they can see the reaction live. Peace, and have a beautiful, amazing day. Out of all the volumes you've read so far, what's your favorite? Volume 4. Volume 4 is hands down my favorite volume ever. So far. As of right now, Volume 4 is my favorite volume. People are fucking hyping up Volume 5 and 6, so now I'm kind of scared. But as of right now, it's like 4, 3, 2, 1. That's my order of like my favorite volumes. 4, 3, 2, 1. Peace, and have an amazing day. Later, guys.